This is the Forms Options page. It's quite an important page because it is able to bring in variables into the finished PDF report, and it also has your permission settings. So we'll just go through the different items. If you roll over the headings, it'll give you useful hints, so we'll go through those one at a time here now. The first one is the form count letter, and basically it enables you to put some prefix letters in before the count number. It's used commonly for things like invoice, so you might put INV as invoice to appear before the number, or QU for a quote, for example. So it's where you enter the prefix letters that will appear before the numbering system. The form number itself is generated from here. If you want each form to have an incremental number, and again it works for things like invoices, then you select the number here and it will automatically increment by 1 each time this form is generated. The reset form number, you might want the numbers to reset at every 1000, for example. So when it gets to 1000, it'll reset and start again. You can add GeoCoordinates to the footer of the default PDF report. So in the footer, currently it'll have the submission details. You can now also add the GeoCoordinates into that footer if it's important to you. In the same way, you can have the GeoCoordinates under an address field. So in a form, when you hit fetch, it can populate the address and add the GeoCoordinates underneath. The default report number options, you can add either your form number, which we've talked about earlier, or the submitted form ID into the heading of the default PDF report. It's quite a useful tool. If you, in the header, you are listing the default report number, then you've got a reference point all the way through and you can track it back to the submitted form ID in your forms submitted. The default submission status is the status of the form when it arrives back into the portal. So when the user submits from the mobile device, it arrives into the management portal and it will automatically come in with a default of OK, but here's where you can change that setting to come in as a different status. The submitted form expiry day it will automatically change to expired after a certain period of time. So it's not commonly used, but when a form is submitted, it may come in as active or pending, and then after 30 days, for example, it can move to expired, and there's specific cases where that's useful. Alternatively, you can prevent it from expiring if it has a certain status. So if it comes in as accepted already, then it won't move to expired after the period above. Okay, so there's some specific cases for why those would be used. And underneath them we've got the permissions, and this is important. So here is where the groups that are able to start the form, and that is able to begin and use the form in both the app and the management portal, and then secondly the groups that are able to edit the submitted forms when they come back into the management portal. So both of those are important permissions to get right, and that's pretty much a summary of the options page. Thank you.